If you're looking for a comprehensive way to get more height for off-roading or just to fit larger wheels and tires at a more budget-friendly price tag, you're going to want to check out this lift kit from Rough Country. Now this is a bolt-on, all-inclusive lift kit that is going to get you 3 inches of extra height while leveling out the stance of your Ram 1500, and it's also going to help maintain good ride quality and road manners in addition to giving you more off-road capability. Now before we dive in, a quick note on fitment. This is designed to fit 2012 to 2018 four-wheel drive Ram 1500s that are not equipped with the Air Ride suspension system. Now there's a lot to talk about with this kit, but we'll start with the thing you all want to know: how much tire can you fit with this? This is again a 3-inch overall lift, so it's going to give you enough clearance to run most 33-inch tires without issue. However, if you go with wide wheels or one with a really high offset, you may encounter rubbing issues even if you stick with 33s. But if you keep it to a 33-inch tire and a more reasonable offset or a more reasonable wheel width, in most cases you're not going to have any issues and you won't have to do any other modifications. Now to achieve that 3 inches of lift, you've got a lot of components. Starting out up front, you get a set of Rough Country's heavy-duty upper control arms. These are forged aluminum arms and they include new Cleveite rubber bushings, so they're going to provide excellent absorption of road impacts, and they're also, well, they're pretty lightweight, but they have a lot of structural integrity, so they're going to be able to hold up to whatever abuse you can think to throw at them. You may have noticed too, you've got brand new ball joints, and those are angled to accommodate for the lift. So despite adding quite a bit of height with this kit, these are going to keep things pretty close to your factory suspension geometry. That again is going to help maintain your factory style ride quality and provide for a full range of motion so you can take advantage of that additional height. Plus, this kit in particular gives them a cool red finish over top of that aluminum, so they're protected a bit more against corrosion and they look a little bit better too. Also up front, you get a set of Rough Country's N3 premium struts, and these are what's going to give you that 3 inches of additional height. As you can see, these come pre-assembled, so there's no need to mess with spring compressors or buy new top mounts or anything like that. You can just take these out of the box and bolt them right into your truck. The shocks are nitrogen charged and they feature infinitely variable damping, so it's going to give you a smooth, almost stock ride quality. And these shocks are also designed specifically for lifted applications, so the damping here is tuned to keep the ride smooth out on the road while still doing a good job of absorbing impacts and controlling rebound out on the trail. That nitrogen charging helps with heat dissipation as well, so even under aggressive washboard style off-roading conditions, these aren't going to suffer from fade. So that means you can use them to their full extent without having to worry about them fading or losing control of your truck. Now in the rear, you'll find a set of coil spring spacers that will effectively extend the height of your springs. Now these are going to give you about a 2-inch lift overall in the rear to help level out your truck's stance. So the truck will sit nice and flat and even front to back. And you also get a set of Rough Country's N3 premium shocks to keep everything in check and maintain good ride quality. Like the shocks on your front struts, these are nitrogen charged. They feature the same infinitely variable damping. So again, you're gonna get that smooth, almost stock ride quality, and you've got a nice matched set of shocks both front and rear. Construction here is all quite solid. Now, as I mentioned, the control arms up front are made from forged aluminum for strength and weight savings. There's no seams or welds to crack or break on these, so you can be sure that they're strong. The front struts and the rear shocks have a massive 1 3/8 inch bore and a chromed hardened piston rod, so these are also going to stand up to the elements quite well. The bodies are made from T6061 aluminum and they're finished in this nice silver paint for some additional protection and good looks. You also get cold wound springs with a black powder coat over top, so these again, basically a standard of the industry. These are nice and thick coils on here, so they're also going to be very strong. And your spring spacers in the rear, well, these are made from a composite material, so unlike a fabricated set of lift blocks for another truck, these are very strong. They also weigh almost nothing, and there's no welds or any kind of weak points on them. They're all one solid piece. So really everything here is built to last, and it's built quite well. Another thing that's worth pointing out here too, on the top of the brand new ball joints on your control arms, you're gonna find Zerk fittings, which means you can grease these up to help extend their life. So even though you might be working these hard, you'll be able to grease these guys up very easily and make sure that they can last you a good long while. Pricing for this kit comes in at about $1,100, and for all that you're getting here, that is a really competitive price. Now there are of course less expensive options out there, but they're not going to have all the features like the shocks, the control arms, the springs, etc. You could also spend a lot more on another kit to give you the same type of height, but for a truck that sees mixed street and trail usage, this is an excellent option because it gives you the focus on not just the height, but also drivability and suspension geometry. So it will drive very much like your truck did the day it rolled off the factory floor, before, albeit just with a little bit more capability. Installation gets a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter and will likely take you upwards of 5 hours or so to complete. Now you can certainly do this at home in your driveway, especially since everything you need to get it done is included. However, this is a bit of an involved job. If you aren't necessarily comfortable disassembling suspension components, professional installation is always an option. However, you can tackle this at home in your driveway, as you don't need to do any modifications to the truck, and you really don't need any special tools to get it done either. You can just bolt everything right in and hit the road. As I always say though, when it comes to lift kits, once you're done and everything is bolted in, make sure you take your truck in for a professional alignment to get everything straightened out and squared away so your truck drives nice and straight and true down the road.
For this install, you'll need an impact, a ratchet, a 15/16 wrench, an 18, a 17, a 14, and various 21mm wrenches, a 21, a 19, an 18, a 17, 16, 14, 13, 10, 8, and 7mm socket, various socket extensions, a swivel socket, a caliper hanger, various hammers, and a pry bar. Today we're going to be installing a lift kit on our Ram 1500. Let's get into it. First, we're going to take an 8mm socket, a socket extension, and a ratchet, and we're going to remove all of these screws and the fender liner, and then take out the fender liner. Next, we're going to loosen the lower strut bolt. So to do that, we're going to be using an impact, a 21mm socket, and a 21mm wrench. Now that we have that lower strut bolt loose, we're going to take our pole jack, we're going to lift it up a little bit just to take some of the pressure off of this bolt so we can slide it out and then swing the shock out. You may need to use that 21mm socket and the impact again just to back this out a little bit. If it's really stuck in there like this one, then we can use a dead blow hammer to the back of the threads. After that, we're going to take a special bent 21mm wrench, a 21mm socket, and an impact. We're going to loosen the top bolt for the shock. So if you have one of these, we're going to put it around back like this, make sure it's on the nut. Now we have this undone, just pull out the bolt and pull out the shock. Now that we've finally done that, we can lower the jack and pull out the spring. So after that, we're going to take one of our spacers. They're a really, really big nut. We're going to take the nut, put it up top just like this. Then we're going to take our supplied bolt. We're going to thread it through here. We just want to catch the threads. I'm going to do this by hand first. Then once you get it to that point, you're going to take a 14mm wrench and 14mm socket as well as a ratchet. We're going to tighten that down. Then we're going to take the bushing off of the old spring, put it back on there, then we're going to put the spring back on. So before we put our spring on, we want to loosen our sway bar end links on both sides. For this, you're going to use an 18mm socket and an impact. Now, if you have the same issue that I'm having, where this is just spinning, this is where you're going to grab a 18mm wrench, a 8mm socket, socket extension, and a ratchet. And we're going to loosen this and pull it off. Then do the same thing for the other sway bar end link. After we've done that, we can put on the spring now. So you just want to lower whatever you have holding this up. In this case, I have a pole jack. Just going to lower this as much as we can. I'm gonna put the lift up just a little bit so that we have some more motion to put the spring on. We're gonna need to take a pry bar, we can pry down on this to pop the spring on. Next, we're going to put in our shock in. So to do that, I'm gonna have to lower the lift a little bit. We can at least start by putting the first shock in up here. Just like that. Then I'm gonna come down a little bit so we can put this bottom bolt in. Now that we have this lowered a little bit, I'm gonna take my pull jack, crank up on this, line it up with this hole right here. Now that we have this in, we're going to tighten this down with a 21mm socket and an impact. Same thing with the one on the top as well. Then you want to reattach your sway bar end link. And to tighten this down, we're going to be using an 18mm wrench, an 8mm socket, socket extension, and a ratchet. Now it's time to reinstall the fender liner. Then we're going to reinstall all the screws with an 8mm socket, socket extension, and a ratchet. Now that you have this side installed, you can complete the same process on the other side. Now it's time to take apart the front. First thing we're going to do is we're going to remove this clip right here. So we want to set it to the side just like that. Then we're going to take an impact, a swivel extension, and a 21mm socket. We're going to loosen this upper ball joint nut right here. We don't want to take this off all the way. We just want to leave it right here with a couple threads. Next, you want to take a hammer and hit this part right here so that we can separate the upper control arm from the knuckle. Just like that. Then we're going to take an impact with a 21mm socket and remove this nut right here and pull off the outer tie rod. If it's stuck in here like this, you may have to hit it with a hammer, just like I'm about to do. So in that case, you're going to put this back on like that and whack the crap out of it with a hammer. And pull this out. We're going to put the nut right here for safekeeping, just like that. Now we can completely loosen this nut. I'm going to use a swivel extension, a 21mm socket, and an impact. So you can put this nut here, just like that. Next, we're going to remove the upper control arm. So to do that, we're going to have to loosen this bolt right here. To do that, we're going to be using an 18mm socket, a swivel extension, a normal extension, and an impact. And we're just going to leave this bolt in for now, and then we're going to take out this one. With the nuts removed, we can pull out our bolts and then pull out the control arm. Next, we're going to loosen the upper part of the sway link. You also want to make sure you do this on the other side at the same time, because once we do put in the upgraded strut, you're going to need that range of motion to be able to push down. And to loosen this, we're going to be using a 16mm socket and an impact. And then we're going to loosen the lower shock bolt. So to do this, we're going to need a size 15/16 wrench. And we're going to need a 21mm socket and an impact. Then we're going to take a 16mm socket and loosen these 3 nuts up here. After that, we're going to remove our caliper. And to do so, we're going to use a 21mm socket, a socket extension, and an impact. So now that we have this unbolted, we're going to take this, put it on our caliper hanger, and we want to make sure we have a hand on the rotor, because if we don't, the rotor is going to fall off. Then we're going to pull the strut out, and to do that, we're going to need a pry bar. So we're going to stick our pry bar in here like this, pry down, and pull out our strut. Now it's time to install the new strut. So what we're going to do is we're going to slide this in and then finger screw these nuts on top so that we can push this down and get this slid in. After we do that, we're going to take a pry bar, pry down on the lower control arm, and get the lower part of the strut in there. So now comes the fun part of trying to line this bolt up through that hole while putting enough adequate pressure on the pry bar. So just going to slide it through, hand tighten it. Then we can take a hammer and tap it in the rest of the way. Then I'm going to take this nut and thread it in just like that. Now it's time to put in our upper control arm, and to do that we're going to use our old hardware, so old nuts and bolts. We're just going to place it in like this. Might be a little bit of a tight fit. Now we're going to install our nuts. And to tighten these down, we're going to be using an 18mm socket, a swivel extension, and an impact. We don't want to tighten these down just yet. We just want to make sure that they're snug enough. Now it's time to connect the upper control arm to the knuckle. To do this, I'm going to push it down right here. Tighten it down just like that. Next, it's time to put on the outer tie rod. So we'll just slip it in right here. Then we'll take our nut, thread it on by hand at first, and then to tighten this down, we're going to be using a 21mm socket and an impact. Now we're going to take a 21mm socket, a swivel extension, and an impact, and we're going to tighten down this nut right here. After that, we're going to tighten down the lower strut bolt. So to do that, we're going to use a 15/16 wrench, an impact, and a 21mm socket. Then we're going to tighten down the strut top bolts, and to do this we're going to be using a 16mm socket and a ratchet. Now we're going to tighten down our sway link. So to do this, we're going to push down our sway bar. We're going to take our bushing, put it on top, our washer, put it on top. We're going to tighten this down with a 16mm socket and a ratchet. Next, we're going to put on our caliper. So first, we have to put our rotor back on. Then we're going to put our caliper back on, followed by the caliper bracket bolts. Now, to tighten down these caliper bracket bolts, we're going to need a 21mm socket and an impact. Next, we're going to clip this back in. So to do that, just going to connect it, push down this red thing, and then we want to clip it just like that. Then we're going to grease our ball joint. So to do that, we're going to lift that up just like that. You're going to want to grab a grease gun. And as far as how many squirts we're going to put in there, I'd say about 4 is good. Just going to put it on top just like that. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Pull that off, put your cap back on. Now that you've successfully installed this portion of the lift kit on this side, complete the same process on the other side. Alrighty, that about wraps up this review and install of the Rough Country Suspension 3-inch bolt-on suspension lift kit with lifted N3 struts and premium N3 shocks in red for a 2012 to 2018 four-wheel drive Ram 1500 without air ride. Thank you for watching, and remember, for everything Ram 1500, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.